It's another effing Monday here at UCY.TV, and you are listening to live radio for the next 60 minutes, Boiler Room, with me, your host, Jim Funke. And that guy over there, he calls himself my co-host. His name is Lance Musser. Good evening, Lance Musser.
Sidekick,
that's right.
Good evening.
How's it going over there?
Much better.
Yeah, I'm glad you made it to your little appointment today and got everything squared away.
When I slept until 11:30 today, I was like, I need to make a doctor's appointment. Something's not right.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to dive into that or anything, but
yeah, I got after a Monday night show last week, I went to fill my water bed and crawled in the bushes, and I actually felt some spiders on me, and I got bit by a spider, and it made my lymph node in my groin swell up to about the size of a walnut, and that's why I've been weak, sick, feverish for the last 5 days now, all because of spider bite. It's infected as hell. I sent you a picture of it.
Yeah.
But
it was on his thigh. He got bit on his thigh, right, like above his knee. Mm-hmm. And yikes, man. I mean, the red spot that on that picture, man, was probably about the size of your palm. And I was like, hey, that's infected, brother. You might want to go do something about that.
Yeah, so they hooked me up with some antibiotics today and tried to give me all my vaccinations. And I said, I'll take the tetanus, and that's the only thing you're putting in my body. Everything else we'll keep out.
I hope you watched him draw it into the syringe.
I saw it on the little bottle.
Yeah.
It was the little bottle I saw that said tetanus. Or it didn't say tetanus, but it said some other name, the official name of it.
Uh-huh.
So I'm good.
The cumulative effect.
Yeah.
I told you, silver water, man. You wouldn't listen.
Well, I'm going to take these antibiotics and see where this goes. So I'm glad. I'm glad I went to the doctor. I hate going to the doctor. You know that. Hey.
Yeah, laying on the couch ain't no fun either. I mean, feeling like shit.
No, that's for sure.
The natural way to go is the best way to go.
Of course, I don't have a couch. I got a pool table in my living room instead.
Yeah, that's true. So you got to crash in your bed.
Yep, exactly.
You don't want to be stretched out on the pool table with the eye horse looking down on you the whole time you're there.
With making my Illuminati symbolisms. Yes, sir. Funny.
Okay, let's run down the rabbit hole of the Wall Street debacle. Smoking's market minute, roll it.
Same thing that we've been saying for, 6-7 months now. Stock market does good. The bonds do bad. If you got a 401k, it went up again today. That's about all you can say.
It's just back and forth. I can't, and Manarino's saying it too. He said, this is the time. If you're going to cash out, this is the time to cash out. Cause it's so upside down now. It's hard to predict. And I don't think he's one to stick his neck out anymore saying it's going to stay up.
One of the things I was reading earlier, and I can't even remember if it's one of the stories I got here, but the guy's like, I can't tell you if the stock market's at its peak, but it's high as it's ever been. So you're a fool if you go into it now, trying to buying something at the height. Basically.
Yeah, that's pretty stupid. That's pretty stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, a good story that I did see, and it might be in that one. Credit Suisse Group AG. I don't know if you'd seen this story or anybody else had seen this story. There's a plea that they helped, guilty plea, mind you. All these bankers are pleading guilty, and they're going to pay $2.5 billion to the Justice Department and regulators.
Okay. So, and what are they going to do with that money? What they do? What they do with the $15 billion that they fined Goldman Sachs or whoever the hell it was that was laundering money for the cartels?
I know, isn't that crazy?
So where's that money?
All this money go?
Is it in some kind of slush fund to buy new helicopters for the president or something? I mean, because I know he's getting a couple new birds, right?
Is it ever even paid? Is it just for posture? Are they just putting up a show? But it was for
switch a couple zeros on a computer.
Exactly. So what was the plea for? They pled guilty to resolve claims that helped Americans evade taxes, and then they're going to pay that $2.5 billion with a B, to more criminals.
The bigger one, the ones with the bigger weapons.
Yeah.
So, okay. Nice. Nice. Banker took it in the shorts.
We'd like to see that, but again, I'd like to see where that money goes.
All they'll
Who
do
gets
is
to spend it.
They'll just cap a couple of their guys and get the insurance money to pay it back off.
Yeah, it's probably not hurting them any.
Yeah.
This is going to be a two-parter. It's very short, but I'm going to finish the two-part on Wednesday.
Nail guns are on sale.
That's right. To get suicided.
Yeah.
More on the coming reset, because you hear more and more talk about a reset, that there really needs to be a reset. We've
Global
talked about it
or
earlier.
United States?
More of a global, but especially, the dollar. I mean, there needs to be a reset because there is no way out of it. Other people have talked about it. I've read different stories on it. But this guy actually puts it in some pretty good layman terms on why we need a reset. So I thought I would pass this on.
Right on.
He's written many times, and this is Bill Hotler, coming from the Miles Franklin site.
All right.
Some say this cannot and will not happen. Oh, he's written many times regarding the potential for a bank holiday and a reset of the financial system. We've been saying, or I have, for 8-9 months now, that if it ever happens, it'll have to happen on a 3-day weekend, a holiday weekend, and we do have one coming up this weekend. Not saying anything's going to happen, but it would make sense for it to happen on a holiday just like it did in Cyprus. Some say this cannot and will not happen, and that anyone believing it is either gullible, scaremongering, or just a little bit slow upstairs. I hope that I am none of these, because I write what I believe and pull only a few punches so as not to offend anyone. First off, why does there need to be a reset of the system? Let's look at this from a couple different angles. From a foreign standpoint, they are producing goods, shipping them to the U.S., and receiving dollars in return. We know that. Dollars which we create in unlimited quantities at a cost of zero. In reality, we are and have been getting something for nothing. A good deal if you're an American, but not such a good deal if you're not. This nothing is also traded, required for oil, between foreigners, and the growing thought process is trade and exclude the use of dollars, which we've done many stories on that.
The de-dollarization.
The de-dollarization of the planet.
Right.
From the internal standpoint, dollars are created only by the creation of debt. The U.S. has crossed the line and now owes more than 100% of the GDP. In total, we owe multiples of the GDP. The debt cannot be paid back. We work, we save, we spend, accept dollars for all of our activities. But again, we work, save, spend, and accept nothing. Because that is exactly what the dollar is worth. So think of it this way. If you were stranded in the desert, how much sense would it make if the currency was sand? Dollars themselves are not an asset. They are a liability. Dollars are merely a promise that you will get more dollars and nothing else. Also, asset values themselves have been perverted. This happens over time, slowly and surely, but it has happened. Wage discrepancies, we know that. The divide between top and low income is larger than it's ever been right now.
Yes.
I might add that the world has never been run where the reserve currency is fiat. So this has been an experiment, and we are the guinea pigs. Think about that for a second. That was a good point. All before, it's been something, and this is a fiat currency for the reserve currency. So what happens in a reset?
Sorry, go ahead. Lance Moser. Come in, Lance.
Can you hear me?
Yep, can now.
Oh, that was weird.
Cool.
So what happens in a reset? How does it play out? What are the advantages, disadvantages? Who are the winners and losers? First, a reset is not some sort of magical formula that resets prices overnight and then things start humming along, business as usual. Think about Venezuela, Mexico, or even Russia when they devalued their currencies, or the markets did it for them. There were financial, social, and monetary repercussions, none of them good in the short term. Repercussions lasted many years and in some cases were always a major hardship for workers as salaries always lagged the reset. So savers are the hardest hit because the value of their past labors and their savings are cut in half, and it's going to take more time to save and get back on their feet. And then you run into the guys talking about $7,000 gold, $400 oil, and $100 silver. And they're saying that that's the only way to beat inflation or the deflation of the dollar.
I think the silver will be way, way over $100.
Well, it's interesting how we've put not nearly as much value on silver. And as we've talked about before, the only reason that it's so far down is so other countries can continue buying it in mass while it's still cheap.
Right. But when the reset hits, the valuation of silver is usually, over history it's run about 1/7 the price of gold. Mm-hmm. So when the reset hits, I'm pretty sure that that's going to go back to the way it is until people start manipulating it again. Just because everything's getting reset, it should go back to its norm. So that's what I see anyway.
Well, he's talking about the world of $7,000 gold is also the world of $400 per barrel and $100 per ounce. Deflation's back can be broken when the dollar is devalued against gold, as occurred in 1933, when the United States revalued gold from $20.67 per ounce to $35 per ounce, a 41% dollar devaluation by going up on the price of gold.
After they confiscated everybody that was stupid enough to turn it in.
Well, and there's other articles that I read, and they were longer, but they've talked about how, pension plans, mm-hmm. when you deposit your money into a bank, whose money is it at that point?
The bank.
It's the bank's. It's not your money. If the bank goes out of business, you have that FDIC insurance, but all you have is that they gave you an IOU by you putting your money in the bank.
And you only get the deposit. You don't get any accrued interest.
Right.
So.
And they can take a certain percentage of it because we've already made it legal for them to do in Europe. So why are we any different than Europe? They did it over there. We can do it over here.
Right.
Goons.
Criminals.
Goons.
Banksters.
Yes. Last week is the last point on this thing. Last week saw a record amount taken out of the U.S. Treasury bonds, according to the market reports. It is not known yet who sold. Russian sales have been strong since the start of the year. China's economy is slowing, and this could be money coming out for a rainy day. So that was interesting when I read that nobody knows who sold off the record number of bonds last week.
China.
Red flag. Well, China or Putin. I mean, it's, I'm convinced. I asked my dad, and my dad, what he does for a living. Mm-hmm. And I asked him, I said, what do you think Putin's goal in all this is? And, he was like, to bring back the Soviet Union, those nations together and become a world power again. I said, we think it's to crush the American economy. So he listened and kind of agreed.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't poo-poo me like he does a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he can see the writing on the wall, man.
Exactly. So, I mean, he's in the Pentagon,
I'll bet they got sticks shaking over there, too, yeah? I bet they got some sticks shaking around the Pentagon. Everybody's got their ear to the ground, listening to what's going on, listening for chatter.
You don't hear anything. And he's, he doesn't say anything ever, but, trying to get information, out of the Pentagon is.
Yeah. Water out of a rock.
Exactly. Or truthful information because their job.
The disinfo flows like water, baby.
I was going to say, the Pentagon's job is not to tell the truth. It's to tell what they want us to believe.
Right.
Period.
Exactly.
And for anybody to think anything different, they're fools.
Yeah, right. What else you got?
That's it. I got a good one, but it's not a financial thing. It's, on, being offended, by certain names. So I got to read I'll read into it later. So no more market stuff.
Okay. So let's jump over here and do our video block for tonight. And the Manarino one, I actually listened to it right before we went on air, and it's not too shabby, so we'll go ahead and throw it in. But here's Scott with his 2 minutes and 16 seconds. Ding.
Nice birds in the background there.
Hello, this is Scott, and this is a Hyper Report. Today's report is sponsored by the free book Ramblings of a Madman. Here are the quotes for various items. First, scramble. Deutsche Bank has 54.7 trillion euros in derivatives, which is 20 times Germany's GDP of 2.7 trillion euros. To raise badly needed capital, Deutsche Bank is preparing to raise 8 billion euros through new shares at up to a 30% discount by the end of June. Something tells me that this is not going to go very well. Of course, the top 5 U.S. banks hold over $290 trillion in derivatives, which is 18.5 times the U.S. GDP of $15.7 trillion. Next, full-blown currency wars. According to WMK, the West is going to be impoverished when the U.S. dollar collapses. The mainstream media will not report the truth about how other central banks print like crazy to keep their currencies on par with the dollar. In addition, all this could easily culminate in a major conflict and possibly even World War III. He goes on to say that it is like a situation where there are a lot of fingers in the dike and you just don't know which one finger being removed might cause the dike to give way. Next, madder than hell. Obama, who ordered access to veterans' memorials be blocked on the first day of a government shutdown, who oversaw cost of living cuts for veterans, is reportedly madder than hell about the VA scandal? Perhaps only because it is now a scandal involving his administration. Next, high school seniors. According to a report by the National Center for Education Statistics, less than 40% of high school seniors in America have sufficient academic skills in math and reading to pass entry-level college courses. With that said, if they have a pulse on a college loan, colleges will welcome them with open arms. Next, armed USDA. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is set to purchase an unknown quantity of submachine guns. In fact, they want guns with a 30-round capacity. Of course, they will likely practice using hollow-point bullets on targets of children and pregnant women. Who could have thought that raw milk was that deadly? Next, fluoride. About 60,000 households in Florida rejected spending $800,000 to poison or fluoridate their water supply. Even Dallas, Texas is considering stopping the 5-decade-long scheme. People are either waking up to the fluoride, which was used by Nazis in concentration camps, or the economics are forcing people to make better decisions. Either way, this is a good thing. Finally, please prepare now for the escalating economic and social unrest. Good day.
Did you hear the little blurb about the high school kids?
Well, I was just about to say, so even if they do pass, you've got a government that's going to loan them money that we don't have, that they can't afford for jobs that aren't there.
Exactly. Just to make sure that they're educated.
Yeah, educated. What's wrong with this picture? I mean, there's so many
indoctrination.
Yeah, well.
Well, that's the only reason. That's the only reason. They want them indoctrinated into their way of thinking. They don't care if they've got a job when they come out. They can go to work at McDonald's flipping burgers, right? So long as they pay their taxes, and then we'll take the rest of what they make to pay off their school loans because we need that money.
I want to throw an interesting stat out there for you.
Go for it.
You know what I do for a living? Mortgages. And I work with realtors a lot. I mean, that's where my business comes from. You would be amazed at the number of mortgage people and realtors that have diplomas and degrees behind their desk or, went to college for something. Now, let me ask you, did any of them go get a degree in mortgageology or house sellology? No. They could not keep jobs, so they got into sales, which you don't need a college degree for. So it's just amazing how many people.
I've got a degree in medical neuropathy, but
how many people do you think are actually working in their fields? I'd like to see that statistic. 50, 60, 70%. I mean, I don't know. But these people that get liberal arts degrees, what the hell are you going to do with that?
I thought about way back in the day when I was a young man, going to Patty's Golden College down in Florida. It's a professional diving instruction. Now, I'm an advanced open water diver. I can dive anywhere on the planet. But I was going to go down there and learn how to hard hat dive and full suit dive, like JIM diving equipment where you're fully enclosed in steel. It was an expensive college. And I was talking to a couple of the guys that went there, and they were underwater welders. And they were making really, really good money, like $50 or $60 an hour, right, to underwater weld, putting together platforms and whatever else. But they told me only about 1% of the people that go to the school wind up doing it in the field.
No kidding.
That's how limited the job the jobs are and how dangerous it is. Like most of them, they'll probably about 70 or 80% get placed into jobs, but only about 1% of them remain after 6 months. They spook out or get fired or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's just, it depends on what kind of field you're going into. I mean, if you're going into ditch digging, I promise you're going to find a job anywhere you want to go look. But
well, if you become an architect or an engineer, those are degrees that, marketing, CPA, those are degrees that you could actually get jobs at big firms or open up your own on.
Well, I don't know. The way the job market looks in this country, I don't think anything's going to be hiring too much,
Well, you got that right.
Just doesn't look good.
But it's at 6.3, so it's not that bad.
Oh, it'll go below, it'll go below 6 before the elections. You watch.
It has to.
It has to.
Yeah, it has to.
All right. Here's Greg.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Greg Manarino. How are you today? It is Monday, May 19th, 2014. All right, people. So let's talk about a few things here. Again, we're being force-fed more and more propaganda here in the United States. Well, what did we find out? First of all, let me just say this. The U.S. equity markets did finish higher today. I believe this trend is going to continue probably through until tomorrow, end of the week. I don't know about that. But I think that's important for a few reasons, and it plays right into what I want to discuss here. We found out today, again, more evidence that we are in a global slowdown. All right? And despite that, our policymakers and even the financial channels and all the little talking heads are trying to make us believe the United States is immune to this. We're not immune to this, and we understand that. And I know for a fact that if you follow this blog, you know there is no recovery. We are, again, not immune to the slowdown. We have issues here in our country which seem to be being overlooked every day on purpose by our policymakers, by the financial channels, and that is, stagnant wages, very poor employment prospects. People have no disposable income, and they're facing inflationary pressures. Oh, but there's no inflation. You know that, right? Oof. But what I'm really trying to get to here, and why this is so profound and so dangerous in many ways, is we continue to see the fundamental factors that are supposed to support this market be completely ignored. We have completely a global slowdown, period, the end. The housing slowdown here in the United States is no secret. And everything else that I just spoke about. But the market is continuing to rise. It's clearly a bubble, people. Again, and this all is directly linked to the debt bubble. And I've gone over at length how that is the greatest threat to humankind. Again, it's not just a financial issue. For those of you out there that don't get it, it's an issue about resources. Despite the fact, and this is a fact, that the world central banks, all of them, have become printing presses, that they've been stimulating and hyper-stimulating their economies. We're seeing this slowdown here. This artificial suppression of interest rates, especially here in the United States, is creating such distortions in this market that it's frightening. And again, the moment of reckoning is coming. And we're going to capitalize on that. And I want to talk about that too. There's no doubt about it. In fact, let me touch on that right now because it's a pressing issue for me. For those of you out there that follow this blog that have been using my site, traderschoice.net, you cannot argue the success of my stock picks this year. Again, go to my page. There's a link right down here, traderschoice.net. You can see every single trade I have placed. It's been nothing short of freaking phenomenal. And I have heard from hundreds of you.
Gee, I hope his head don't get too big to fit out the office door.
Since the beginning of the year about your successful trades, and I really appreciate that and the thank yous I get from you. But here's my concern, people, and it's very important to me. And really, that's why I'm doing this myself here. I am a strong believer in paying things forward. That's a fact. Although I've heard from hundreds of you out there that have been capitalizing on my, advice here and, my stock picks, I haven't heard from not one of you out there who have said that you've donated a portion of your winnings, your earnings, to a charity. And I go over this on my site. That's disturbing to me. And I really put that site up there, actually. And put my backing behind it and all of my knowledge behind it, because that's what I want. I urge you to do two things if you're having success using my site. Number one, please share it. Tell people about it. I want to get it out there. I want people to take advantage of it. I go over it all the time. But the number two thing, which is more important even than number one, is paying it forward, okay? I love hearing from all of you out there. You made a successful trade. You got some money locked up. Please, take a portion of that. Find something that you believe in. Personally, I donate to animal charities. I feel very strongly about it. But I'm not saying you have to do that. Find
something like a cat guy
you trust
he does.
And you want to support. And just take a small portion of it. I don't even care if it's $10.
I don't think he's got chickens or anything.
Donate it. Do something with that cash that you're making here, people. I'm urging you to do that. I want you to do that. Very important to me for us all to become successful here. And that's why I'm out here. I go over it all the time. I don't have to do this. That's a fact. But I do it because I feel it's important. And I'm trying to pay this forward, and I want you to do that too. Okay? Anyway, I'm glad I got that off my chest. It's been bothering me all weekend. That's the truth. All right, so anyway, basically the premise of this video is, people, we are marching here down a very ominous path, which is absolutely not sustainable. The world central banks are doing everything they can to hyper-stimulate, and we're still in a global slowdown. The equity markets, especially here in the United States, continue to become more and more disconnected from reality, and there's going to be a price to pay for this. No doubt about it. But until that point, we're going to ride the wave up.
Disconnected.
We are certainly,
yes, it is.
Certainly going to ride that wave down, and we are going to line our pockets with stupid amounts of cash, of which
they're stealing from us. Of which they're stealing from us. Okay.
So. Well, they're stealing from each other.
Well, that too. But I mean, they're stealing from the rest of the planet.
Well, you got to give him props for the shout out he just did.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. But, we're not about talking to the homies. So.
Nope.
Okay. That's the end of the video lineup for this evening's show. And Lance just dropped this to me as, Greg was running his gob. This is breaking news, and I'm getting ready. I'm going to hit the tweet button right here and tweet this out right now as I speak. Okay, this is from Reuters. Thailand's army has just declared martial law. Thailand's army declared martial law on Tuesday to restore order after 6 months of anti-government protests, which have left the country without a functioning government.
And this is just a couple hours because they're already using a May 20th date, which is tomorrow in Thailand.
Which is about 4 hours ahead of us, I think, or something like that.
Right. So
5 hours. Okay. The declaration did not constitute a coup and was made in response to deteriorating security. An Army general said, "We declared a state of emergency. It is not a coup. Because of the situation, it is not stable. They kill each other every day," a general who declined to be identified told Reuters. Troops were patrolling in Bangkok and had secured television stations, he said. "We need cooperation from them to announce to the people, do not panic. This is not a coup," the general said. So that's 3 times they said it's not a coup. It must be a coup.
Or it's going to turn into one. Or it's going to turn into one.
They're just waiting for the CIA plane to land.
Right.
Okay. So anyway, Thailand has been stuck in a political limbo since Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra and 9 of her ministers were dismissed on May 7th after a court found them guilty of abuse of power. I do remember when that dropped. She embezzled a shitload of money too, I think. The crisis then lasted, latest installment of a near decade-long power struggle between ousted former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, Yingluck's brother, and royal establishment, blah, 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 brought the country to the brink of recession. So yeah, not only are they in the middle of a not coup, but they don't have any money. So I'm fairly certain that along with the CIA plane, there will be a couple of bankers right behind them from the IMF. Or the Troika or something like that. Anyway, that's happening as we speaky. Thailand has declared martial law coming to a town near you.
Well, and I'll read that first paragraph again. Thailand's army declared martial law on Tuesday to restore order after 6 months of anti-government protest, which have left the country without a functioning government. So it brought me back to Friday and Saturday's American Spring. No, it brought me back to American Spring. You know, what was supposed to happen on Monday. And
the 30 million empty chairs?
Right. And that was actually not for them, but it was a different photo.
I know.
But, you know, think about if that would have happened and if it would have run on and, you know, they would have actually gotten what they wanted. What then? Okay, all these people that they wanted to get out of Congress, they violently throw them out, and then what? Who are you going to put in the seats? Are those guys who was on the back of his Harley? Is he going to go in there and put on the speakers?
Vote for nobody, 2016.
I mean, you know, so,
hey, look,
you know, these guys are trying to overthrow something, but
hang on,
what are they going to do?
We've been under rules and regulations for so long, and look where it's gotten us, okay? We haven't been willy-nilly for a while. Now, I'm not saying Aleister Crowley, do what thou wilt. I'm just saying, let's leave everyone to their own devices for just a little bit and see how it works. Because we haven't done it for a while.
You can't. You can't. But society's become too evil. You can't.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, those people will get taken care of.
It's not supposed to happen in this phase anymore.
I don't know.
You know that. It's not supposed to happen in this phase. That's next phase. So
I think
people are just too evil.
I think we're like a cancer, dude. Honest to God, I think humans are like a cancer. I think we're going to eat ourselves alive. I honestly, I feel it coming. I feel it coming. There's going to be a huge something or other, and it's right around the bend, man. It's in the atmosphere. I know I've been saying this for a while, and everybody's like, yeah, you've been saying it for a while. It's been a year and a half, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes things take time. Look at how long they've been passing the torch from generation to generation, trying to get this whole planet government thing going on.
New World Order.
You know, now I understand that when they first wrote the playbook, the guys that wrote it probably figured, yeah, we might see this happen in our lifetime, but they planned it out to where it might not happen in their lifetime, and it didn't, right? So they kept passing the torch to the kids and to the grandkids and to the great-grandkids, and along with the money, right, and all the power, and the evil.
Yeah, that kind of pulls a little bit from that movie that I was watching yesterday that I dropped to you. And I mean, it talks about that, how the Illuminati, you know, these people for a new world order, I won't use the word Illuminati, but for the new world order, if you will, a one world government, that's been the goal for 300 and something years.
Right. And they've been waiting patiently.
Yep. Patiently.
And passing the torch and taking it incrementally.
After generation.
Right. Yep. Every couple of years, they do something else. They take a couple of more freedoms. They take a couple of more dollars. They take a couple of more whatever, you know, hectares of land. They buy a couple of more mines. They buy a couple of more banks. They buy a couple more oil wells. They buy a couple more oil companies, you know. They just accumulate and accumulate and accumulate. And now they've got it to where they pretty much own the entire goddamn planet.
It's amazing.
And we suffer.
Yeah. I mean, we've crossed the threshold of our renewable resources on the planet.
I don't buy that. I don't buy that.
You know, I mean, of half. You've crossed the threshold.
I don't buy that. There's untapped resources everywhere. There's unseen oil fields all over the effing planet. I almost said it.
I don't think that they were ever meaning oil. I think they were meaning
not just oil,
like food and trees, gold, and
whatever, silver. You know, there's just
clean water.
Well, now that Fukushima, we can't help that, right? I mean, you know, unless we come up with a way to de-radiate the water. Because pretty much, I mean, Fukushima is going to be the end of all fresh water on the planet because everything moves around, right? Everything cycles through. It goes up into the clouds and comes down as rain and goes into the rivers, and the rivers flow into the streams, and the streams flow into the oceans, and the oceans flow around the planet, right? So eventually Fukushima is going to radiate every single drop of water on the planet.
It already is.
Because they're not doing anything about it. They're just standing around over there with their thumbs up their asses.
They can't. They had a melt through. Not
I know. I understand that. I understand that. But if they would have thrown the flag up a long time ago, like, I don't know, 2011 when it happened, and said, "Hey, you people all witnessed, you saw this happen on live television, right? Okay, we've never seen anything like this before."
He knew it.
Whatever. Nobody's ever seen anything like this on the planet ever before. Help, please help somebody, everybody.
Yeah, it should have been an international, and right from the get, say that it wasn't behind the scenes and that they were just making them take the fall. So that way, when they realize that there's not jack crap that can be done, Tokyo's the only one that looks bad. Not all these other world governments that got together and then couldn't come up with a solution.
They knew that there wasn't anything to be done when Chernobyl happened because there was nothing they could do there either. The only thing they did was throw a goddamn concrete blanket over it.
It's not even done yet either.
Well, the first one. They're trying to build the second one, right? Because the first one's failing. It's got cracks.
They had to stop work on it because of the crisis going on over there, the war.
In Ukraine, right, exactly. Yeah. So everything's just sitting there idle and the radiation's just pouring out of it as well. Mm-hmm. We all have Chernobyl radiation in our body. It's cesium of some sort of or whatever. I don't know what it is. We all have it.
I mean, I lived in Europe for 10 years, so I mean.
Well, you got enough for you and both kids.
Yeah.
So, congratulations.
All right.
Anyway, we kind of went on a little rant. Sorry. Uncle Jimmy had a fever for a minute. It's better than having swollen nuts. Anyway, we're going to jump over to this African camel story now. This is getting out of control too, people. This whole MERS thing. I don't know. I watched a couple of videos on YouTube today where they disclosed some information from some local news reports out of Indiana and some other places. And, there's a lot more people that were exposed to these jackholes that came over here from Saudi Arabia carrying the MERS virus than we ever thought. To the tune of probably a couple of thousand that are walking around the United States. And this thing incubates for 2 weeks, right? So we've still got, 7 days to wait for the shoe to drop, wait for these guys to start developing a fever and puking on each other, right? And infecting more people. Like they're walking around right now not knowing because the CDC can't get a hold of them. They have no idea who they are.
Nope.
So this might be a little more serious than any of us are thinking. Anyway, here's the report. This is out of Bloomberg, so take it for what it's worth. The deadly respiratory virus that has spread from Saudi Arabia around the world was found in camels in Nigeria, Tunisia, and Ethiopia, showing the pathogen is more widespread than previously known. Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome, coronavirus, or MERS, COV. It almost sounds like a commercial, yeah? Found in almost all blood samples taken from 358 dromedary camels in Nigeria and 188 camels in Ethiopia, according to a study published online by Emerging Infectious Disease Journal. The fact that we even need that paper is scary. Mm-hmm. In Tunisia, MERS-CoV was found in 54% of adult camels and in all of the animals from one southern province. The findings add to previous studies that have found the virus in camels in Spain's Canary Islands and in Egypt, as well as several nations on the Arabian Peninsula, and suggest that there may be undiagnosed human cases in Africa. Researchers from the Netherlands wrote in the study, the blood samples were collected between 2009 and 2011, suggesting the virus was circulating well before 2012 when the first human case was identified. Thanks for the heads up, jackasses. The possibility exists that MERS-CoV illness occurs before its discovery in 2012 and that such infections have been overlooked in the areas with evidence for virus circulating among animals during the past 10 years. The authors wrote in the journal published by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. So the CDC knew too. This just gets...
Oh yeah, because they're still scrambling, you know.
Please. Part of the big game? I don't know. Well, keep going. MERS has sickened at least 614 people, killing 184 of them since 2012, according to the World Health Organization. While most of the cases and deaths have been in Saudi Arabia, there have been infections in Europe, Africa, Asia, and the U.S. All cases are linked to people who lived or have traveled to the Middle East or who were exposed to someone who did. The WHO's emergency committee last week decided against declaring MERS as a global health emergency, citing the lack of evidence for sustained human-to-human transmission. You geniuses are on top of your game, boy. Most of the infections have been because of poor infection control practices in hospitals, the WHO said. MERS causes fever, cough, shortness of breath, blah, 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 blah. The potential route for transmission from camels to human isn't well understood. Many cases of the illness have occurred among camel herders and people who visited camel farms or consumed unpasteurized camel milk. The virus belongs to the same family of pathogens as SARS, which killed about 800 people worldwide after its first appearance in China more than a decade ago. Saudi Arabia expects millions of Muslims from around the world to perform the annual Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca and Medina in early October. The WHO doesn't recommend any travel restrictions related to MERS, though Saudi Arabia has suggested that pilgrims over 65 and under 12 and pregnant women refrain from the journey.
Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah, they did that last year too, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the WHO doesn't see any problem whatsoever. Go ahead, fly wherever you want, take a trip, pack the kids, tuck your little suitcase in under your seat, and travel all you want. Because they need to kill off 3/4 of the population.
Look at the Georgia Guidestones, man. There's their plans right there.
That's what I'm saying. They need to kill off some more folks. So go ahead and take a deep breath when you get off the plane over there at Riyadh.
Yeah, if you remember last year, during the Hajj, the Potter blog was having all those specific outbreaks, of different things that was coming out of, right there in Mecca.
Yeah. Very, very creepy.
Very diseased, easy to catch a disease there.
Yeah. And, the camel to human transmission has not been identified. I don't even want to be the guy looking to see how it's being transmitted from camels to humans.
Well, if they wanted to spread something, that would be the place to do it, because those people come from all over the planet to make their pilgrimage to Mecca for their Hajj, because they're all required to do it one time.
And Muslims are the largest conglomeration of religious people on the planet.
So they're coming around from all around the planet to do this pilgrimage, infect them, they go back home, boom, you just now spread it across the entire planet in 1 week.
The guy in Florida exposed over 800 people to himself in his trip from Saudi Arabia to England to New York to Atlanta to Florida, or Chicago, Atlanta, Florida. Over 800 people. The CDC has been able to contact 80. The rest of them, no. So, and it's 2 weeks, right? And we just heard about this last week, so we got another week to wait until all these people start puking all over everybody. And, I'm just being a fearmonger right now, right? So, that's what I think. That's how I roll. That's the way my mind works. I don't intend to be a fearmonger, I'm not telling you to go call your congressman and start bitching or nothing like that, but I'm telling you, don't go near an airport for a while. If you know anybody that just got back from a trip, kind of keep them on the outs for a few, right? Till you see if they turn blue in the gills.
Well, I mean,
go get yourself some N100s Anybody who doesn't know what that is, Google it. It's a mask that you can put over your face if you got to go out in public and high traffic areas or whatever. So there you go. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, the mask.
Scary, creepy, scary, man. You know, I've thought about biologicals for about 2 years now, about a false flag biological attack on this country.
CDC is loaded up on a lot of stuff, you know, but a lot of, you know, I know radiation, they decked out on, and I don't know if that was for the WHIP thing or Fukushima or something in the future.
About 2 years ago, I started looking on a site called ApprovedGasMasks.com. It's one of the places where you can buy CBRN rated masks for a fairly decent price. I mean, cheaper than you're going to find them almost anywhere else, because they buy in bulk. But they deal with the federal government. They deal with all kinds of ABC agencies,
right? And
sell to them. And to get the Scott 3M or the Scott CBRN or the 3M CBRN or there's another one called I think North. I can't remember what the name of it is, but anyway, the three major, you know, the best masks that they have, they were sold out. And I would go back week after week, month after month. Now, granted, these masks are $500, right, for the CBRN and the mask itself. I mean, the mask is like $360 something, right? And then the you know, you got to get the canister, and the canister CBRN stands for chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear. So it covers almost everything. And they're, you know, standard NATO thread 40 millimeter, work on anything, right? But you have to have a certain seal to be able to keep the radiological shit out and the biological shit out. I mean, it's got to seal up really good around your face, man, because if there's any leak anywhere, that Ebola is going to find its way in. And then you're pooped, right? So.
That's why I never understood the gas mask they gave us in the military, because the filter was inside the mask. So to change the filter, you had to change the filter. You had to break the seal. Duh.
Well, yeah, but those, I mean, they last for days and days and days, dude.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, they're expecting you to be able to get the hell out of the area of operation.
Out of the Mach 4 environment by then, yeah.
And I've got a couple of those, you know. I got a couple of those masks. I got actually some very good. They're better than N100s. It's a full respirator that covers your mouth and nose. It's for like painters use, you know. I got a couple of those, but the CBRNs, they just now came back into stock after I made it down here to where I'm at.
Right.
So that's how long I've been looking for those. And I think they had them on other sites, but they were twice as expensive as,
right.
You know what I mean? So, and I wasn't going to pay $1,000 for a mask.
Shit, the other sites were buying them from them.
Well, yeah, but it was the government orders, you know, these be on back order for an extended period of time. If you want to be on our list of people to notify, then drop your email here, you know, that kind of deal. And I just got the email 3 weeks ago.
Nice.
That said they are back in stock. Buy them while they last. So I have not dropped my coin on them yet because I'm finally in a decent location where I don't expect a big waft of biologics to float over me unless I'm targeted.
Right.
So, but anyway, just pay attention, people. Like, you know, I don't know where you're at, Dan, in Tennessee, but if you're anywhere near Memphis, man, when you go outside, throw a bandana around your mouth, you know, or, you know, Hecty, Maria, Tech, all you guys up there at the Hecty Lodge, you guys are in a huge traffic environment in Vegas. Don't go outside without something covering your mouth, man, especially if you're close to the airport. I just would not. I don't want to think everybody, I don't think everybody needs to walk around like they do in China with the masks on because they can't see outside because of the smog and pollution and whatever. But you know what I mean? Just if you're going to be in that kind of environment, if you're going to be around people that are sickly, if you're going to a hospital to visit a friend or something like that, protect yourself. Because protecting you is going to protect everyone around you. Mm-hmm. So, that's my little rant for that. Uncle Jimmy's on a roll tonight. All right, man. You got anything else? We got about 9 minutes.
Yeah, my political correctness.
Yeah, let's do that. Is this a funny? Let's end on a funny.
Of course.
Is it going to take 9 minutes?
If I read real slow. But now it'll be close. We can comment after it.
Right on.
Clarence Page of the Chicago Tribune, and I'm sure everybody remembers hearing this story. He wrote an article about Daniel Snyder should change the name of the Washington Redskins because it's offensive to Native Americans.
Okay.
Not that we didn't kill their entire nation, and that's offensive to their race.
Right. The word smallpox is offensive to most Native Americans.
So naming the country's
Wool
best football team
offensive.
After them, because I'm a Washington Redskins fan.
Woo-ha!
So naming the country's #1 football team.
Yeah, this cat loses bets all the time and has to wear what? Green Bay?
Dallas
Cowboys.
In front
gear.
of Walmart at high noon. I'll send you
on video.
Send it out one time. So this guy wrote an article after this made news. People were all up in arms about it. And he said, "Dear Mr. Page, I always love your articles and generally agree with them. I would suggest, as in an email I received, they change the name to the Foreskins to better represent their community.
Wow.
Paying tribute to the dickheads in Congress.
Woo!
While we're at it, here's some other political correctness to consider. I agree with our Native American population. I am highly insulted by the racially charged name of the Washington Redskins. One might argue to name a professional football team after Native Americans would exalt them as fine warriors, but nay. We must be careful not to offend, and in the spirit of political correctness and courtesy, we must move forward. Let's ditch the Kansas City Chiefs, the Atlanta Braves, and the Cleveland Indians. If your shorts are in a wad because of the reference of the name the Redskins makes to skin color, then we need to get rid of the Cleveland Browns. The Carolina Panthers were obviously named to keep the memory of militant blacks from the 60s alive. Gone. It's offensive to us white folk. The New York Yankees offend Southern population. Do you see a team named for the Confederacy? No. There is no room for any reference to that tragic war that cost this country so many men's young lives. I am also offended by the blatant reference to the Catholic religion among our sports teams. Totally inappropriate to have the New Orleans Saints, the Los Angeles Angels, or the San Diego Padres. Then there are the team names that glorify criminals who raped and pillaged. We're talking about the horrible Oakland Raiders, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Arr. Now, let us address those teams that clearly send the wrong message to our children. The San Diego Chargers promote irresponsible fighting or even spending habits. Wrong message to our children.
Nice. Oh.
The New York Giants and the San Francisco Giants promote obesity, a growing childhood epidemic. Wrong message to our children. The Milwaukee Brewers, well, that goes without saying. Wrong message to our children. So there you go. We need to support any legislation that comes out to rectify this travesty, because the government will likely become involved with this issue, as they should, because it's just the kind of thing that a do-nothing Congress loves to do. And as a die-hard Oregon State fan, my wife and I, with all this in mind, think it might also make sense to change the name of the Oregon State's athletic women's team to something other than the Beavers.
That was just priceless, man.
And then in the comments down below, I do not, here it is. If we as a society cannot find our way to a path which lead us to purging this pestilence of political correctness, we are doomed.
I've been saying that from my first show.
Oh yeah.
Political correctness is going to be, and has been, the death of this country. We are a bend-over nation. We bend over for anyone and everyone that wants to come over here and try to espouse their beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
What a travesty. What a joke that this country has become.
It's like the meme I posted the other day. You find it offensive? Oh, I find it funny. That's why I'm happier than you.
It is funny in a way until you see what's ahead of us. I mean, you know, if you want to keep your eyes closed to what's actually occurring, then yeah, you can laugh your way through it, but you got to keep one eye to the whys. You know what I mean? You got to keep one eye focused. I know I should smile more. I get told that a lot. I need to smile more. It'll change my every day. It's just so hard, man. I mean, when you read the things that we read.
Unsee.
Yeah, exactly. And I envy you being able to laugh off a lot of this shit. I really do, you know. And
well, I mean, a lot of it you have to. And it's like my, let me get it here, my Facebook profile picture. Mm-hmm. Worry is a total waste of time. It doesn't change anything. All it does is steal your joy and keeps you very busy doing nothing.
Oh, I know. And I pass out some really good information to other people. I just don't use it myself.
Oh, yeah.
I told a friend yesterday, actually, I said, when you think something has got you against the wall and it's not, you know, it's, you look at something that's just happened and you think it's the be all end all, you know, that there's nothing that you can recover. It's, you know, it's just a travesty. It's just it's a blah. Think to yourself, in 6 months, is this going to make any difference?
Yep. Say it all the time.
So, but I have a hard time doing it myself, you know. I really do. But things are getting, I mean, I'm getting some irons out of my fire. Got the house like 80% finished. You know, the roof has been done for a while. Got the gutters done today. They got wrapped up today. Everything's good. I got my diverters on my downspout so I can catch my water, and I'm cooking right along, man. I'm cooking right along.
A nice little fountain.
Yeah. Got the fountain running in the backyard now on the back deck, and Mom's really happy about that. She loves it. So, and the weather's starting to warm up. It's going to be back up near 90 again for the next few days. So we're going to spend more time outside, and she'll be able to sit there and listen to the fountain and sit on her new patio furniture and enjoy well, I think we're even going to hit out in the boat tomorrow just because there's nothing pressing.
Well, I'll tell you, after this winter that we've had, everybody ought to spend every single day they can, because who thinks that this winter is going to be any different?
Exactly. And I still firmly believe that the sun's in a little bit of a solar shutdown. So Here we go. We're done. See you guys on Wednesday.
Live, laugh, love.
Live, laugh, and love. Exactly. Stay tuned for Turboville. He's up next. And then, Primer, Timer, Prepper Chicks. I can't remember which. And then Anti-Media Radio after that. Nick Burnaby getting ready to toss him the phones here in a little bit. Peace, everybody. UCY.TV. Thanks, Brother Lance.